Hi, welcome to the Rideout Connection. This is episode one, the very first one, and we're calling it A River Runs Through It. And my special guest today is Francisco Cross. We wanted to present these programs as a way to tell our story, to tell the story of what's happening at Adventist Health and Rideout and how we're so connected to this Yuba Sutter community. Today we're here at the Feather River, a couple miles south of where the Yuba and Feather River come together. What's unique about this is as these rivers come together, in many ways that connection creates our existence. It creates our existence of how we serve this community, why this community was here in the first place. And its story becomes our story. And the story of this river very much intertwines with who we are. And that's why we wanted to start here today. I would like to thank all of you, all of the associates, the physicians at Adventist Health and Rideout. We've been through some challenging times over the last year and a half, and based on the current COVID surge, it's not going to get any easier. But another reason I wanted to start this in front of the river is because resiliency is what we're about. The river behind us has been the source of life, and it's also been the source of tragedy in this community for over 100 years. But out of each of those tragedies, each time our communities flooded or the risk of flood, we came back, we rose up stronger than ever. And that's the story of the Yuba Sutter community. It's a story of strength, it's a story of perseverance, and it's a story of resiliency. And that is the story of Adventist Health and Rideout. We've come together between Rideout and Adventist Health and formed a partnership that will be transformational to ourselves and to the community around us. And as we face the challenges we do, rising above them is our story, which just continues to tell the bigger story of the community in which we live. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for being who you are. I'd like to share a little bit of news. Today's a challenging day. Just to the east of us, there's plumes of smoke going up in Plumas County. The city of Greenville last night was completely destroyed by fire. And those of us that were so close and connected to the campfire that burned the town of Paradise relive that each time that something like this happens. Furthermore, many of our residents in our community have spent many years enjoying the mountains in the Lake Almanor area, and many have homes in Lake Almanor, and those are all at risk right now, and so we will keep them in our thoughts and prayers. The other thing I wanted to share is the challenge we have in front of us right now with COVID-19. Unlike our past surges where we were trying to do prevention through masking, this time we have a vaccination. And unfortunately, this surge that we're seeing around the country is a result of the number of people that are unvaccinated. It is in many ways a pandemic of the unvaccinated. I saw data today that of the people getting ill, those that are unvaccinated are 8 times more likely to catch COVID-19 than those that are vaccinated. And of those showing up in the hospital, are 25 times more likely to be unvaccinated than vaccinated. This is a significant opportunity and a significant threat for our community. We have one of the lowest vaccination rates in the state, which puts our communities, our families, our neighbors at significant risk. I want to plead and encourage with all of you to get vaccinated, convince others to get vaccinated, because that's the one thing we can do to save lives. Just yesterday, 2 more people lost their lives in our hospital from COVID-19. We can stop this, and we can stop it starting today. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for caring for patients. And let's all come together as a community, stand together, and build this community up stronger than ever. And we can do that today by encouraging vaccination for people. Well, I would like to talk to my guest now, and it's really an honor to be here with Francisco Cross. Francisco is our Director of Mission and Spiritual Care at Adventist Health and Rideout. And he's been such a pivotal figure in building our culture of spirituality, care, and love in our community here. Our mission at Adventist Health and Rideout is to live God's love by inspiring health, wholeness, and hope. And in many ways, the work Francisco does is what helps us live into that each day. I wanted to come down here by the river, and I want to talk to Francisco. What's the significance of this river, and how does it make a difference in your life and your work?
Thanks, Rick. You know, honestly, this standing here physically in this present moment, there's a lot that's going through me, because this river here is one that I grew up fishing just there. Even here, my father and I fishing for fish. And the one thing that I can say about this river in regards to our work is it's a place that's inclusive to everyone, a place where people come and people can find healing. I can remember the stories of old, even as a child, as fishermen congregated here and relationships were formed, and this idea of community is really one thing that I've realized in the work that we do at Adventist Health and Rideout as we deliver spiritual care. It's really creating a space that creates significant meaning and purpose for all who come into our doors. And so we've had the awesome privilege of meeting with some of our parishioners and some of our spiritual leaders in the community, and creating a space where they can be a part of this healing process as patients come into our hospitals. Just a few hours ago, I was visiting with a patient whose daughter works in our hospital. And it's one of those works where it is sacred, but we realize how important it is because we are the community. We're part of Yuba City County and also Yuba Sutter County, and it's a privilege to be here and to serve together.
Yeah, thank you, Francisco. So, you grew up here in Yuba Sutter area, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this is home for me.
And you went to high school, and just like the salmon that grow up in this river, go out to the ocean and come back, you came back after many years.
You know, it's funny, Rick. I swore to my teachers at Yuba City High School, at Yuba College, that I would never come back to this place. And some 21 years later, you just never know how God's going to lead your life. And it's a privilege. It's a privilege to come back and be a part of not just giving back to the community, but be a part of a healing process as we continue to work at the crosshairs of our relationships here at Adventist Health and Rideout.
You know, as we look at the challenges in front of us, and we really look behind us and see many of the things we came through, how does the strength of togetherness, of community matter as we think about resilience and we think about how we depend on each other through challenging times?
You know, Rick, honestly, I think in the last 14, 16 months, I think the pandemic has taught us is that we're stronger together. And so for us, being able to strengthen our communication, really it's starting with each and every one of us, starting with me and yourself, and being leaders, that it's during these times that our associates, our patients, family members, they need us to be there, to be a part of those conversations that sometimes are hard to have. And so for me, it is a significant privilege and honor to walk along these thin lines, kind of like how the rivers here are changing. I remember walking across when I was a kid, and we can't do that anymore. And I think sometimes the chapters of life significantly change in the blink of an eye, and our work calls us to step into light in those darkest moments and bring hope to our patients.
Yeah, and it just seems so much that the spirit people have inside of them, the connection. Even sometimes the Bible tells us that sometimes in our weakness is where we find our greatest strength. Yeah. Is that what you find as well?
You know, honestly, that's where my calling is deeply rooted. It's in this fact, just like the story of Isaiah, you know, whom shall I send? You know, here am I, send me. And every day when I have conversations with patients, it's knowing that I'm called to this sacred work and to be a part of these pivotal moments that are really transformative.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Francisco, for taking a few minutes today. It's such an opportunity to serve this community. And each of our associates and our physicians that give so much of themselves to make a difference. They're going to be dealing over the next few months with with a challenge related to another surge of COVID-19. But working together, coming together as a community, I'm very confident that we have one of the best teams of professionals that I have ever had the opportunity to work with in my career. This community is in good hands, and we appreciate the support of the community as well, that gives us strength and courage. I remember last year when the police departments and law enforcement and fire departments came by in December, right around Christmas time, to let our healthcare workers who were dealing with a challenging situation know how much this community supported them. And I'll never forget that moment as long as I live, because it says something about who we are as a community, our strength of character, our strength of caring for each other. Because what brings us together is much more than anything out there that divides us. And that's really what community is all about. So thank you for spending a few minutes with us today as we talk about who we are here at Rideout Connection. And next week we will have an episode featuring Dr. Fong Liu, our county health officer. There's a lot of developments happening, and it's going to be really exciting to hear, or maybe exciting is the wrong word, but really interesting to be right on the cutting edge of what's happening. But what I'm also interested in is, what is her story? How does her story, much like these rivers come together, converge with ours at a very critical time in the history of our community? And so I look forward to having you join us again for episode 2 of Rideout Connection. Thank you.